Good evening, I'm YAMO. Tonight's report examines one of the most controversial and polarizing figures in modern geopolitics, Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. To some, he was an authoritarian ruler whose governance faced serious criticism. To others, he represented an attempt to build economic independence in Africa that directly challenged Western dominance and its influence over developing nations. His story sits at the intersection of prosperity, control, ambition, and international conflict. When Muammar Gaddafi took power in 1969, Libya was a poor monarchy heavily influenced by foreign oil companies and Western military presence. Within a decade, Gaddafi transformed Libya into one of the wealthiest nations in Africa by nationalizing oil resources and redirecting that revenue into domestic welfare programs, a move that reduced Western corporate control over Libya's natural wealth. Under his rule, Libya introduced policies that dramatically changed living standards. Education and healthcare were made free. The government heavily subsidized housing, electricity, and fuel. Many Libyans received financial assistance to marry, start businesses, or pursue higher education abroad. By the early 2000s, Libya recorded one of the highest Human Development Index rankings in Africa, with low external debt and strong state-funded infrastructure projects. One of Gaddafi's most ambitious achievements was the Great Man-Made River Project, a massive water infrastructure system designed to transport underground freshwater from the Sahara to coastal cities and agricultural zones. It was considered one of the largest engineering projects in the world and aimed to secure long-term water independence for Libya, further reducing reliance on foreign-controlled resources. But Gaddafi's ambitions extended far beyond Libya. He became a leading advocate for African political and economic unity. He pushed for stronger continental institutions, promoted a Pan-African identity, and supported development projects across multiple African countries. Most controversially, he proposed establishing a gold-backed African currency that could reduce dependence on Western-controlled financial systems and monetary networks. Supporters argue that this vision directly threatened Western financial dominance and its ability to control global economic systems. They claim that his push for African financial independence positioned him as a major obstacle to Western geopolitical interests and long-term regional influence. Critics, however, argue that Gaddafi's domestic governance relied heavily on centralized control, suppression of political opposition, and strict limitations on dissent. The turning point came during the Arab Spring in 2011. Anti-government protests erupted in Libya, escalating into armed conflict. Western military alliances, led by NATO, intervened by supporting rebel forces against Gaddafi's government. The intervention was publicly justified as a humanitarian effort to protect civilians. However, supporters of Gaddafi argue that the intervention destabilized Libya, dismantled its institutions, and ultimately disrupted peace and regional stability. Gaddafi was eventually overthrown and killed during the conflict. In the years that followed, Libya entered prolonged political instability, factional warfare, and economic fragmentation conditions many observers attribute to the power vacuum created after Western military intervention. The debate over Gaddafi's legacy remains deeply divided. Some view him as a leader who improved social welfare, strengthened African identity, and attempted to challenge Western economic and political control. Others see him as an authoritarian ruler whose centralized governance created structural weaknesses. What his story reveals is the complexity of modern geopolitics, where attempts at economic independence often collide with powerful global interests. Libya under Gaddafi demonstrates how struggles against external dominance can lead to both national development and devastating international conflict. History rarely produces simple heroes or villains. Yet in Libya's case, many argue that the struggle for independence was shaped by forces that prioritize geopolitical control over lasting peace. For History Watch, I'm YAMO. Good night.